Why didn't Shedeur Sanders get the call? That's the question dominating every sports radio show and comment thread after Cleveland's tough win over Miami. Judkins gave them fireworks. Garrett lit up the defense. Yet the offensive narrative was dictated by Gabriel's constant misfires. The Dolphins exposed Cleveland's biggest weakness, an inflexible game plan, and a coach unwilling to pivot, even when the answer was sitting right on the bench.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
That answer was Sanders, and his absence wasn't just noticeable, it was baffling. The Browns can no longer afford to operate on inertia. Sanders may be young, but the traits he brings, poise, agility, decision-making, are exactly what this offense lacks. It's not about replacing Gabriel out of frustration. It's about giving the team its best chance to thrive. The noise around Stefanski's decision isn't going away because it taps into something deeper. The growing sense that playing it safe might be the most dangerous move of all. Kevin Stefanski has officially reached the "what are we even doing anymore" phase of public outrage. The Cleveland Browns walked away with a win over the Dolphins, but the headlines weren't celebrating a team victory. They were calling out a head coach who made a choice that's now being dissected on every sports show, in every fan forum, and across the entire league. A choice to keep Shedeur Sanders benched, while Dillon Gabriel struggled his way through another rough outing. Let's be clear, this isn't just about quarterback stats or play-calling preferences. This is about a defining moment, a decision that's drawing a line between what this team is and what it could be. Sanders wasn't just passed over. He was ignored in a situation that screamed for change. And fans are furious, because this wasn't a blowout. This wasn't a game where the QB was in total control. This was a hard-fought battle, where the defense dragged the team across the finish line, and Judkins lit up the ground game. Garrett and company were unstoppable. They smothered Miami's offense, created turnovers, made life miserable for Tua. And Judkins? A highlight machine. He made things happen when no one else could. But then there's Gabriel. Missed reads, slow reactions, no rhythm. Miami's blitz exposed every weakness. The offense sputtered. The energy dipped. And all the while, Shedeur Sanders stood on the sideline, helmet on, ready to go in, ready to change the momentum, ready to lead. And he never got the call. That decision, not putting Sanders in, has become the symbol of what's wrong with Stefanski's current leadership. Sticking with Gabriel felt less like a strategic choice and more like a coach afraid to disrupt the status quo. Loyalty is one thing, but loyalty at the expense of growth? That's something else entirely. Fans know what they saw. The team didn't struggle because of a bad game plan. The defense executed. The run game delivered. The problem was at quarterback. Gabriel had every chance to prove he could take control, and he didn't, time after time. He looked overwhelmed, outmatched, and completely unable to adapt under pressure. That's not just an off day. That's a pattern. And that pattern is costing the Browns. The energy that Garrett brings on every snap, the explosiveness of Judkins, the grit of the defense. It's being wasted when a quarterback can't convert on third down, when he can't finish drives, when the ball feels like it's going backwards more often than forward. And the worst part? There's another option sitting right there. Shedeur Sanders represents everything this offense lacks. Calm in the pocket, leadership when it counts, mobility when the play breaks down, confidence under fire. And yet, none of that was allowed to see the field. Not even a drive, not a single series, not one opportunity to flip the game's momentum when Gabriel clearly couldn't. It was a missed opportunity. Plain and simple. And this isn't just fan noise anymore. Analysts are calling it out. Former players are speaking up. Everyone is asking the same thing. What is Stefanski waiting for? Because this decision didn't happen in a vacuum. It's part of a bigger pattern. An unwillingness to make bold moves when a moment calls for it. A hesitancy that feels more like fear than strategy. A preference for stability that's holding the team back from something greater. And now the Browns are staring straight at a crossroads. Do they keep rolling with a quarterback who's shown clear limitations? Or do they take the leap and put their trust in Sanders, a player with the potential to transform this team's identity? Right now, It feels like Stefanski is clinging to the idea that staying the course is safer than taking a risk. But what he's missing is that the safe option is actually the riskiest of all. Every week that Gabriel starts, the offense stays stuck. Every week that Sanders sits, fans grow more frustrated. Every missed throw is a reminder of what's being left on the table. And let's be real, this defense isn't just good. It's elite. It's championship caliber. The kind of defense that can carry you deep into playoffs. But that's only true if the offense does something. Anything. And right now that something isn't coming from Gabriel. He's not moving the needle. He's not elevating the players around him. And worse, he's playing like someone who knows there's no threat to his job. Because so far, there hasn't been. That's on Stefanski. He's created a culture where accountability only applies to some positions, where a quarterback can struggle week after week without consequence, while the rest of the team has to grind just to keep things competitive. That's not leadership. That's mismanagement. And it's not sustainable. Because eventually, that frustration trickles down. Players see it. They feel it. They know when the guy under center isn't getting the job done. And they definitely know when a coach refuses to address it. The whispers in the locker room are inevitable. Judkins can't keep carrying the offense by himself. The defense can't keep bailing out the offense forever. Eventually, it all collapses under the weight of a coaching staff that refuses to adapt. And it's not just about this season. It's about the future. What kind of message does this send to the team? To the fans? That potential isn't enough? That even if you have the tools, you won't be getting the shot? Because Sanders isn't just a talented backup. He's a potential cornerstone. He brings exactly what this offense lacks. And the fact that he hasn't been given a chance is baffling. Inexcusable, even. What is Stefanski protecting? Gabriel's confidence? The game plan? His own pride? Because the longer this goes on, the more it starts to look like a coach afraid of being wrong. And that fear is costing this team momentum, chemistry, and credibility. Everyone's seen what Sanders could bring. It's not hypothetical anymore. He is the spark, the confidence, the shift in energy, the player who could actually balance out what's already working so well on the other side of the ball. And the fans? They're not asking anymore. They're demanding. They've watched this team waste talent for too long. They've waited for a real shot at relevance. And now, when it's finally within reach, they're watching a coach hold it back out of, what? Loyalty? No one's saying Sanders is guaranteed to be a star. But at this point, he deserves the opportunity. He's earned the chance to step in and show what he can do, not in mop-up duty, not in desperation, but as a real option. Because the truth is, he might be the only thing standing between this team and a wasted season. Stefanski needs to face it. Playing it safe is no longer safe. It's dangerous. It's divisive. And it's slowly unraveling a team that could be something special. The Browns have a shot at something real, but only if they stop pretending this version of the offense is good enough. Let Sanders take the field. Let the fans breathe. Let the locker room believe again. If you're with us, hit that like button and drop your thoughts in the comments. Should Stefanski finally make the move? Or is he dragging this team down with him by refusing to change? Subscribe for more as we follow every twist, every decision, and every moment that defines this season. Because Cleveland's drama is just getting started. Cleveland isn't just flirting with dysfunction right now. They're actively spiraling toward it. And the scariest part is that it's avoidable. Completely, totally avoidable. The defense is locked in. The run game is explosive. The stadium is buzzing with playoff energy. But the quarterback situation? It's killing the vibe, and Stefanski is standing in the eye of the storm pretending it's just a light breeze. Dylan Gabriel is not cutting it. That's not speculation. That's not give him time discourse. That's reality, as plain as the scoreboard. Against the Dolphins, the only reason this game didn't end in embarrassment was because of the defense going feral and Judkins going nuclear. Meanwhile, Gabriel couldn't make a read to save the drive, couldn't escape pressure, couldn't settle into rhythm. And it wasn't a fluke. It was a continuation of a trend. But you wouldn't know that by watching Stefanski operate. Because instead of acknowledging the obvious, that the offense is drowning, he just stayed course, stuck to the same script, kept Shedeur Sanders on the bench as if this team was up by 20 and cruising. They weren't, and everyone knew it. There's no polite way to say it anymore. Kevin Stefanski is letting this offense suffer because he won't make the hard call, and it's not about protecting Gabriel at this point. It's about avoiding accountability, about fear of shaking things up, even when the entire building is begging for it. And the thing is, nobody's asking Stefanski to throw Sanders in and guarantee a Super Bowl run. People just want basic responsiveness, a willingness to try something when what you're doing clearly isn't working. That's what coaching is. Adaptation, risk, and when the entire offense is stalling while your defense is playing at a historic level, refusing to make a change is not strategy. It's sabotage. You can feel it bubbling. The locker room tension, the fan exhaustion, the media pressure. It's all reaching a tipping point. And Stefanski is pretending it's just noise. But it's not noise. It's a warning. And if he keeps ignoring it, it won't just be Gabriel getting benched. It'll be Stefanski on the hot seat. Because at some point, loyalty becomes delusion. At some point, defending the plan becomes enabling failure. And that point, it's here, right now. Let's not pretend Sanders is an untested wild card either. His strengths aren't theoretical. Leadership, proven. Calm under pressure, it's part of his DNA. The poise, the athleticism, the ability to improvise when things break down. That's what this team needs. Not next season. Not down the road. Now, you don't bench a guy like that unless you truly believe he's not ready. But that's not what Stefanski is saying. He's not even addressing it. He's stonewalling the conversation like it's some wild idea that no serious coach would consider. And that silence is starting to sound like fear. Fear of change. Fear of the unknown. Fear of being wrong. And that's where the cracks are starting to show, not just in the game film, but in the culture. You got a team doing everything right on one side of the ball, and a coach refusing to fix what's broken on the other. That disconnect is unsustainable. You can't have your defense playing lights out while your quarterback floats passes into double coverage and escapes blame because the coach won't pull the plug. What's going to happen when Garrett has a quiet game? When Judkins gets bottled up by a better defensive front? You think Gabriel's going to pick up the slack? He's already shown he can't. And if the coaching staff won't adjust now, in games where there's still breathing room, what happens when it's must-win time? That's the concern. That Stefanski's hesitance is going to back this team into a corner. And by the time he finally makes a move, it'll be too late. The locker room will have tuned him out. The confidence and leadership will be shot. And the playoff window? Closed. Because right now, everything hinges on the quarterback position. This defense is playing too well to waste. Judkins is too good to be running into stacked boxes every drive, while the passing game contributes nothing. You cannot be one-dimensional in the NFL and expect to go anywhere in January. Teams will adjust. The good ones already have. And every week Sanders stays benched, that imbalance becomes more obvious. He doesn't have to come in and throw for 400 yards. He just needs to open things up. Keep defenses honest. Extend plays. Take pressure off the run game. Take pressure off the defense. And most importantly, give this offense an identity beyond hope the defense saves us. Because that's what it's been. Hope and hesitation. And that's no way to run a franchise. And look, no one's saying Stefanski's job should ride on one game. But his judgment? That's fair game. And right now it's looking shaky. Refusing to even try Sanders in a game where Gabriel is visibly overwhelmed isn't loyalty. It's a failure to read the room. And the room is starting to boil. The fan base is livid. They see what this team could be. They know what's holding it back. And they're done being patient. Stefanski doesn't just need a win next week. He needs clarity. He needs to show that he's paying attention, that he's willing to make uncomfortable decisions, that he actually wants to maximize his roster instead of protect his preseason narrative. Because if he doesn't, if we see the same script play out again, Gabriel starts, the offense sputters, Sanders watches. It won't just be boos echoing through the stadium. It'll be trust evaporating. And once that's gone, it doesn't come back easily. The Browns don't need a miracle. They need a coach who can see what's right in front of him. There's a reason people keep calling Sanders a catalyst. It's because he is. He doesn't just bring different skills. He brings hope. And right now, that's what this team is starving for. A spark, a shift, something to rally around. Because you can only lean on defense for so long. You can only ride Judkins' leg so far. Eventually, you need a quarterback who can go in the game. And every week that Sanders doesn't get that shot, that moment slips further away. Kevin Stefanski's future is now tied to this decision. That's how big it's become. Because if he keeps riding Gabriel and it backfires, as it already nearly has, people won't just question his tactics. They'll question his ability to lead this team at all. The next game isn't just another week. It's a moment, a fork in the road. One where the Browns can either choose boldness or settle for the same tired cycle. Kevin Stefanski is no longer being judged on wins and losses alone. He's being judged on vision. And right now, the only thing clear about his vision is that it's stuck in rewind while the rest of the NFL is sprinting forward. The decision to bench Shedeur Sanders during that Dolphins game didn't just raise eyebrows. It lit a fuse. Because you can't keep calling this team a contender while holding back the one piece that could make the offense functional. Functional, not even elite. Just functional. That's how low the bar has dropped. Let's not pretend this is about development or protecting a rookie quarterback. It's not. This is about protecting the ego of a coach who's committed to a version of this team that doesn't exist anymore. The version where Dillon Gabriel is enough, where the offense can manage the game and let the defense do the rest. That fantasy died in the second quarter against Miami, when Gabriel airmailed his third down pass and still stayed in the game. Stefanski isn't sticking with Gabriel because he's earned it. He's sticking with him because he doesn't want to admit he bet wrong. And that bet is getting more expensive by the week. The crazy part? This team is good. The roster isn't broken. It's not a let's wait till next year situation. They are right there. Garrett is playing at a defensive player of the year level. Judkins is evolving into a top-tier back before our eyes. The secondary is locking down top receivers. The pieces are in place, except at the most important position in football, and that's why this hurts so much. Because fans aren't overreacting. They're not panicking over a loss. The Browns won, but they watched that game with a pit in their stomach because it didn't feel like a win. It felt like escaping disaster. And when your team is that talented and you still feel like you're barely surviving every week, that's on the coach. And that's exactly why the calls for Shedeur Sanders are getting louder, more pointed, and more justified. People are tired of watching an offense that feels like it's duct taped together. The passing game is lifeless. Gabriel's confidence is shot. And every possession feels like it's being called with one hand tied behind Stefanski's back, because he knows his quarterback can't stretch the field. But Sanders could. He could bring improvisation, tempo, calm, movement, creativity, and yes, mistakes. But at least the mistakes would be trying to make something happen. At least they'd be aggressive. Right now, everything about this offense is passive. It's afraid. It's stale. It's stuck in a loop, and the only way out is to break it. Start Sanders. The truth is, you can't claim to be building for the postseason and not address the quarterback position. That's what this all comes down to. There is no long-term success with this offense in its current form. And there's no short-term success either as Stefanski keeps running Gabriel out there and hoping for a miracle. Miracles don't come when your QB has tunnel vision, and your coach refuses to intervene. The most dangerous thing Stefanski can do right now is nothing. Because every week that goes by with Sanders on the sideline is another week of wasted potential, another chance of the locker room to fracture, and another signal to the fan base that management is asleep at the wheel. And we've seen what happens when Cleveland starts to turn on a coach. The slow boos become chants. The chants become headlines. The headlines become job security issues. And right now, Stefanski is inching toward that cliff. All because he won't take a calculated risk. And let's be real, this isn't a blind leap. Sanders isn't some late-round flyer with no upside. He's got pedigree, composure, and skill. He's got everything this offense is missing. And he's ready. You don't hold back a quarterback like that when your current starter can't keep the offense on the field for more than 6 plays. What exactly is Stefanski protecting anymore? Because Gabriel isn't being protected from criticism. He's already in the spotlight. He's already the scapegoat. And it's not even about him at this point. It's about the system that refuses to adapt. It's about a head coach who's willing to lose games, and possibly the season, just to avoid looking like he's backpedaling. But growth requires adjustment, and leadership requires knowing when the plan has failed. This isn't even about Sanders versus Gabriel anymore. It's about urgency, about maximizing the opportunity that this roster has created. You don't get seasons like this very often, when the defense is dominant, when the ground game is humming, when the playoff picture is wide open. The only thing holding them back is fear. Fear of change, fear of backlash, fear of being wrong. But being wrong is fixable. Staying wrong is where careers go to die. So what happens next? Does Stefanski swallow his pride and give Sanders the keys? Or does he double down, throw another week away, and hope that the rest of the team can keep carrying the weight? If history is any indicator, we know how this plays out. The longer you ignore the obvious, the more painful correction becomes. And if Stefanski waits until it's too late, no amount of loyalty will save him from a fallout. The team is begging for balance. The fans are begging for change. And Shedeur Sanders is ready. What's missing is a coach with the guts to say, we need more. Because right now, just enough won't cut it. Not in this league. Not in this locker room. Not with this window. So Stefanski has one job. Make the move. Get the quarterback right. Give this team a chance to be what it's built to be. Or stand by as another season full of potential crashes into the wall. Hit, like, if you're done waiting for someone else to say what we're all thinking. Comment below. Does Stefanski have the guts to make the change? Or is he steering the ship straight into the iceberg? And subscribe, because if this tension keeps boiling, we're one game away from the Browns' biggest drama of the year. And this time, it won't be coming from a field.